Good evening, dear colleagues. Welcome to another INGET Zoom series talk. This evening, our guest is Associate Professor Dr. Mehmet Bardakçı from Gaziantep University. Mehmet Hocam was a former student of mine at the PhD program at Gazi University. He was as a student outstanding with his personality and his academic work. And as an associate professor, he is outstanding, and you're going to witness that this evening, most probably. His interest areas include teacher training, teaching English to young learners, critical reading, and reasoning fallacies. The title of his talk this evening is Principles of Effective Online Teaching. Welcome, dear Mehmet Hocam. Thank you very much for accepting to be one of our guest speakers. It's an honor to have you here. The screen is all yours.
That honor is mine, Hocam. Good evening, Aydan Hocam, and good evening, dear guests, colleagues. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Hocam, for such great compliments and also for inviting me here. It's an honor for me to be a part of INGET Zoom series. And as you mentioned, you were my professor at Gazi University, and I learned from you a lot, and I owe you a lot because, as you mentioned, one of my interest areas is young learners. I learned it from you using apprenticeship model. You know, I used to go into the class with you, and nowadays I think my students, there are a lot of students, they will agree with me that I'm doing a good job in young learners classes just because of you. Because, you know, I was a kind of tough guy when I was a research assistant at the beginning. And I remember you're telling that, come on, I'm a professor and I am this year old and I am doing these things, so you have to do. And now I'm telling this exactly the same sentences to my students. and I warn them, if there is a tough guy, it is me. So don't do that. So again, thank you a lot for teaching me and for such compliments that you just mentioned. And before I start my presentation, I'd like to give you a questionnaire, a short questionnaire. Let me share my screen. Can you please go to menti.com? I think you see up here, menti.com, and write the code. And can you please answer the question? Don't worry, it is anonymous. We won't see who write what. It is why I like this Web2 tool. Students can share their thoughts anonymously. Okay. Has everyone voted? Okay. It's still going. Aydan Hocam, we have such a technologically literate guest here, but as I expected, the most used one was Kahoot, and of course Zoom. And yeah, it still continues. I'm changing the question now. Can you please answer this one? Oh, we have teachers who use Class Dojo. Interesting. I think that's okay. As you see, and as I expected, the mostly used one was PowerPoint slides. Prezi is another slide sharing program. Kahoot is a good and entertaining quiz-based program. And actually, I was interested that, yeah, some teachers use Padlet, Edmodo, Edpuzzle, ClassDojo. It's interesting. And I thought there were less answers, but it's good. Aydan Hocam, our guests are incredible. So, and during emergency online teaching, actually, you must have seen such pictures of our teachers who try to use kitchen table as the board, trying to teach. Of course, we appreciate their efforts a lot, just using Zoom and the kitchen table as the board. But I have a question. In such a technological era, should we use kitchen table as a board? As you see, there are a lot of Web2 tools that we can use. And of course, it was an emergency situation. Yeah, we caught, how can I say, unexpectedly, but we were not prepared. So the teachers, I'm sure they're very good teachers. They don't have any problems with their content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge. But when it comes to TPAC, technological, pedagogical content knowledge, we lose the game that time. Even, yeah, teachers or professors, I will say like me, who knows technology very well, we failed. In fact, frankly speaking, I use PowerPoint slides more. It was the same for me. But during this pandemic, I and my colleagues, I have to mention their names here, Emrah Cinkara, Fatih Özmantar, and Melike Özyurt. We taught on this problem. And we started writing an Erasmus project about online teaching, and now it is accepted, and we are trying to develop a teaching model and teacher training module about these Web2 tools, and including online teaching and face-to-face teaching. And let me share my presentation here. The name of our project is here, as you see, eFlip project. Okay. And during our literature reviews, we realized that online teaching should be different, and we all know this actually. And we try to find out the principles in the relevant literature, what the scholars write about these online teaching. And we came up with 10 principles. Actually, there are many other principles, but the most relevant ones we chose. And here is my outline of the presentation. We already did the questionnaire, and I'm going to give a little bit of background to distance and remote learning. Then we're going to discuss students' expectations and guiding principles for effective online teaching. And we will end our presentation, and I think it will take about 35, 40 minutes. As I said, of course, I'm not going to give a long speech or a lecture about this pedagogical content knowledge and other things. I'm sure that our teachers are well equipped with pedagogical content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge. But when it comes to technological knowledge, and especially technological pedagogical content knowledge, we failed, unfortunately. And we had, even as I said, the ones who are very good at computers failed to use this online teaching effectively. Even I know, because they are technologically illiterate, some of the professors got retired. I must say that they were wise enough to accept that they were not, their students will not benefit from them anymore. They got retired. They said, I cannot manage this online teaching, so for better me and my students, me get retired. And here is the question. Have you ever wondered, are you preparing your students for their future or your past?
Mehmet Hocam, can I ask you something? Are you moving slides because we are still seeing the first slide?
Actually, I'm moving, Hocam.
Okay. Now it has changed. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, the previous slide was this.
Okay. Thank you.
See it now?
Yes.
Okay, Hocam. So, okay. Here is the question. Are you preparing your students for their future or your past? You know, there is and will always be resistance to change. And even, you know, as teachers, as human beings, we tend to think that we learned in this way. And I was one of the best in my class. So the way I was taught must work with my students. But unfortunately, time has changed. So it is, I think, high time we reflected on our teaching and made some changes. Isn't it, Aydan Hocam? And let's talk a little bit about remote or distance learning. In fact, it is not a new concept. It has a long history, and it started in the 19th century. With international student correspondence, and it started in 1897 in the context of a French and British cooperation. Later on, that they carried out this teaching by letters or through post. You know, even in Turkey, we had this. Even, I don't know, in 60s, we trained teachers through post. within 3 months, as far as I know. So in Turkey, it started with Mustafa Necati Bey in 1927, but it was not until 1975. And in these years, remote instruction through TV has started and has a long tradition, especially in countries with a more centralized educational system like us. We all know Açık Öğretim Fakültesi. And when I was a kid, I used to watch because, at those times, let's admit, Aydan Hocam, yeah, we are old. At those times, the TRT, we had just one channel, and it started at about 6 in the evening with Açık Öğretim Fakültesi courses until 8, 2 hours of distance education. And later on, computer-assisted learning and ICT came to the scene. In recent years, in the 21st century, we have massive open online courses, MOOCs, virtual reality, augmented reality, and as far as I know, Gökhan Karacan Hocam presented augmented reality, and in another presentation, he gave a workshop, which was very good and quality presentation. Although I couldn't attend, I watched it later on YouTube. It was a very fruitful presentation. And okay, since I cannot use the full screen, the things should be coming, the items should be coming flying. But can you please have a look at this cartoon first? Actually, it summarizes the students' expectations in online teaching. So what are students' expectations in online teaching from us as teachers? And the first item is easy to follow course design and navigation. You should prepare your course designs. We upload many materials on the systems, but without giving clear instructions. Okay, the students just log in, but they don't know where to start, how to go on, how to continue. So they need easy to follow course design. Then clear expectations. Even, giving clear instructions is very important in face-to-face teaching as well. And also, they expect reasonably quick responses from their teachers. We're going to deal with these issues in later slides. And also, teachers' presence is very important. They need to feel that you are there. And I observed during this emergency online teaching that many of the teachers, they just got up from the bed, and because they couldn't make up, they say, I have a problem with my webcam today, so just listen. Okay. And another thing that even we, because of this, our technological inefficiencies, let's say, we just used PowerPoint slides, let PowerPoint slides alone. Many of the teachers try to use the same methodologies that we use in the face-to-face teaching. They just log in and say, please open the books, page 56, and do the first exercise. Or, Amanda Hocam, can you read the first paragraph? Filiz Hocam, the second. It goes like this. Okay. So here is the model that we use in our courses at our university. You see, here we have announcements, the syllabus, introduction to course in order. They will read the assignment, they will watch a video. Even in videos, we use dialogues. Okay, you can use dialogues. Dialogue is a web tool. You just upload a video, and at any time of the video, it stops, and you can add quick quiz questions. It makes the watching video interactive. And then the PPT, and if you give a task, you see, in an order, they will complete the tasks and come to the class. So after we talk about the students' expectations, we should also talk about effective teachers. We are the same teachers, but we have now different tools. And in our approaches and methodology courses, we always tell our students that we are teaching all these methods, but they all good points, advantages, and disadvantages. According to the context of your teaching and the differences of your students, you should pick up from different methodologies. So, like in face-to-face teaching, in online teaching, effective online teachers vary their pedagogy. And the second item is avoiding didactic approach. Even in face-to-face teaching, we say teachers should use, instead of spoon feeding, teachers should make students discover by themselves. We should give them tasks to discover and learn on their own. And also, before the class or after the class activities, we can use productive failure. What is productive failure? Especially before the instruction, you give them a task that they cannot manage to complete, but they will deal with it. They will fail completing the task, and they will wonder how it can be completed. And they will come to the class prepared, motivated. So we can use this productive failure. And also, we can facilitate the learning. And since with the help of the technology, we can also benefit from the technology for inclusive learning. We may have, some disabled students. We can vary our tools, or we can prepare, let's say, a reading text or PowerPoint with, how can I say, bigger fonts. And of course, about course design, we should provide seamless structure. Students shouldn't get lost while navigating on the system. And here are some general principles to become effective online practitioners. In good online teaching, in principle, it is fundamentally the same as I said, good face-to-face teaching. But we shouldn't directly use the methods that we use in face-to-face teaching. For online teaching to be successful, as teachers, we need to adapt the facilitation strategies. Okay. However, online teaching doesn't necessarily mean, as I said, transferring the same teaching approach and curriculum that we used in face-to-face teaching. And Ko and Rosen remind us that the move to online formats the opportunities, we should try new methods and approaches. So, like our audience did, we should, as teachers, we should learn new technologies and web tools. And here are 10 principles that we compiled from the literature, and we're going to have a look at them one by one. The first thing, as we mentioned in students' expectations, is easy to follow course design and navigation. Something that can be incredibly frustrating for students is entering their online courses for the first time and being confused or not knowing how to get started, where to start. So we should provide them our syllabus, introduction to course. Even we can prepare a video, a short video, let's say 2 or 3 minutes video for our expectations. And we should make everything clear. And confusion can quickly lead frustration and unhappy learner. So it is not a great way to start a class. And also, if learners get confused, you will receive more emails and more questions that you cannot answer all of them. So we should prepare an easy to follow course design. Here are some tips for effective course design. We can use an LMS, like our teachers already used. Moodle, Canva, Edmodo, Blackboard. These are famous LMSs, and also there are some others such as iSpring Learn, Thailand LMS, Litmos. You can use, and it helps you a lot, and it helps your students a lot because it is actually the one I showed here. Again, I will show. It is a Moodle page. At university, we use Moodle, and it is free of charge. Any teacher can use it. And the next tip is classify and present content and course activities in a consistent manner, by unit or week by week, chapter by chapter, or module by module. And as I said, we can include a welcoming video, and we should show them where to start and how to navigate. And also, if they upload a text and there is a video link, we should create hyperlinks to minimize the number of clicks required to access. Because, you're saying that in the text, you're referring to a video, students will go back or Google the video, open YouTube, try to find the video and watch it. Instead of losing this time, we should just copy the link and paste it in the text. It is called hyperlinks. And we should direct students to the syllabus with additional information on the design and navigation of the course. Even at the beginning of the term, we could train them about how to use this LMS and how to navigate. Okay. And to reduce the learner's confusion, we should also provide explicit directions for course activities and assessments, which is very important for students. Their first question is, Hocam, how are you going to evaluate us? Will you give us test or task? So we should give them and communicate our expectations clearly about assignments, submissions, and due dates and evaluation criteria. If we will use rubrics, we should introduce our rubrics. And we could even show them a sample assignment, a good sample assignment from the previous terms to make your expectations more clear. And you can also talk about communication protocols, which is very important. When to communicate and how to communicate. Like we have office hours. We can also have in online teaching, we can also have an office hour, not office hour, but Zoom hour to answer their questions. And netiquette is online ethic rules. Okay. What are the ethical rules in online education? Yeah, like setting the rules in face-to-face education. You can talk about respecting each other when we are speaking, okay? Muting our microphones, for example. Or everybody will activate their microphones so that I can see your faces. Because, you know, we all know that many of our students just log in and mute our voices. Maybe on the screen, they just minimize the screen and continue playing games or navigating on Instagram or online shopping, whatever they are doing. But I'm sure most of our students did this. In order to avoid these kind of things, instead of taking the attendance, we can use quick quizzes or quick tasks during our teaching, but at any time, so that your students will be present there. Okay, and these tasks could be, let's say, 20% of your grade assessment. And during your online course, you say, now it is time. Please click on this link and complete the questions or answer the questions. It could be even one question, multiple choice or open-ended. So by using these techniques, we can keep our students engaged in the lesson. And also, another netiquette online ethic rule is when to message you. Here is, I have a WhatsApp message received from one of my students. Can you please have a look at the time? After midnight. What can I say, hocam? Of course, I replied, but I gave a brief ethic rules speech. Then I answered his question. Later on, he never sent me a message. And another issue is that sense of belonging and community. It varies at different degrees in different learning environments. Of course, it is easy to build this sense of belonging in face-to-face communication, in face-to-face teaching. But studies reported that online students feel isolated. So as teachers, we should establish a strong online learning community. Like many aspects of teaching, helping students to develop a sense of belonging and community can, of course, have an effective impact in online courses. So we should, as teachers, help them by using, even again, collaborative tasks through web tutors. And also, some of our teachers talked about, write Padlet. It's a very good web tutor the students can prepare their own boards. Okay, they can introduce themselves, they can talk about their interests, and they can even comment under each other's Padlets. So when students feel they belong to a class or community, they are more likely to be motivated and complete the tasks and classwork. And they will feel safe enough to contribute to the discussions, and they will be open to feedbacks even from you and from their peers. Here is a screenshot of Padlet. Students can share whatever they want, and the others can comment under it. You see, by the help of this tool, they feel that, I belong to this community. And they take care or pay attention to my studies or my, how can I say, posts. So here we have 5 strategies for building a sense of community. Actually, I mentioned many of them. As first, we can survey student interests through using Padlets or other questionnaire tools. And we should let students get to know us and each other. And we can build in opportunities for students to share their knowledge and experiences, and of course, create social opportunities and safe environments. Because, you know, in commenting, they can use some slang words even. We should be there, or to ban or warn. Okay, go on. I cannot change the slide. Oh, okay. Here is the thing that we talked at the very beginning, TPAC. We should know technologies, education technologies, and we should choose the most appropriate ones. Okay. We should integrate these technological tools in our teaching instead of using just PowerPoint slides or the books. And technologies should be selected purely because, you know, if we don't select them appropriately, the students will lose their interest. And also, we sometimes prepare a task by using a web tutor, but it is no longer used. As far as I remember, Dialog will not be on the web after April. Yeah, we have just 5 days left. It will be released. So the selection of technology should be pedagogically grounded. For instance, reason for using the technology related to students' learning. And here are the key areas for selecting appropriate technological tools. Like in face-to-face teaching, our contexts and our learners' characteristics or individual differences. One of our teachers wrote it. We take these things into account. And of course, it doesn't mean that we should always use technology. According to the task, we should decide, can we use a tool to complete this task, this specific task? Or students can complete the task without using technology. So we should be aware. And as we always tell our students that in our class, any activity should be in line with our objectives. If it doesn't fit to our task and objective, we shouldn't use that technology. And media attributes, what features will support the learning activity? Because, in some tools, we need extra softwares to be downloaded and, set up. Maybe our students didn't have. So be careful about these things. And grouping strategy is another important thing. Will we use collaboration and cooperation? And again, according to the learner characteristics and individual differences, if we know our students well, we can give them cooperative tasks or individual tasks. And technology will help us a lot in this issue. You can give an intrapersonal student an individual task. And also instructional management. Will this technology be supported in wider organization? And is it cost-free? And your institute can afford it. Of course, generally, our institutions cannot afford, so we should find the correct ones, or we use free limited versions. Of course, there are a lot of free versions, fully accessible versions. And to make the online courses accessible, there are two main areas of accessibility. The first one is inclusiveness. The second one is technical. Your course should be accessible for all students from diverse backgrounds relating to such areas as culture, disabilities, and socioeconomic status. Online components of your course should be accessible to students in terms of file size versus student download speeds, and also alternative ways for students to access. If the program you use requires some complex and extra things, technical support, or in institution, you may have a firewall. So you should inform the technicians about this firewall to unblock your students. Another thing is the one we have the most difficulty for our students, motivating and engaging them, especially in online teaching. Even in face-to-face teaching, we have this problem. So to motivate and engage our students, we can use variety in all areas of teaching. And as I said, keep them engaged and keep them on the screen. We can use some different activities during the lecture. And usability of the online learning environment. It is important that we shouldn't need to include every Web2 tool. We can use just 2 or 3 of them, and our students can get used to it, and they will somehow predict what kind of tools you will use during the lesson. And also it will help them develop their self-efficacy, because they will know, they will get ready to answer and do the task, and they will be motivated. And of course, relevance and authenticity, meaningful, and application of feedback. We're going to talk about feedback some more in the following slides. Here, the 7th principle is giving timely feedback. As we all know, feedback is intrinsic to many of the learning activities and a key aspect of assessment and evaluation. How might timely feedback be achieved richly and efficiently? Of course, we cannot always be online to give them feedback, but we can use some collaborative tasks where students can comment each other's works, which is peer feedback we can use. Or for the activities, we can prepare some rubrics, okay? And students may make kind of self-evaluation using this rubric. Even we can show the rubric and guide them how to use it. And another thing is we should keep in touch with our students and respond to them. This point may seem incredibly basic, but however, it rates high on the list of the items because students are much complained about the lack of timely return because you give them an assignment, they have questions about the assignment. They couldn't understand your instructions. And they sometimes say this, I contacted my instructor with a question 5 days ago. I emailed him, but haven't heard back yet, haven't get any feedback yet. So in netiquette, we mentioned when and how to communicate. You can have a session for just these questions, or you can say them, I will reply your emails 24 hours, in 24 hours. Okay. So with this, they will feel your presence. They will feel that you're ready to help them. Because, you know, even if we think that we write clear instructions, they may have questions, or even they may have problems. Let me give an example. You as an English teacher, you gave them an assignment. Just talk about the environment you live. Especially little ones will ask this question if they're having this problem. Hocam, we're living with our uncle this week. So shall I talk about my environment or my uncle's street? Which one? Yeah, they will ask such questions. But if you don't reply, they cannot, they will be confused. And the ninth principle is regularly check content resources and applications. Of course, we discussed where we embedded some hyperlinks and we prepared videos and uploaded them on Edmodo or even YouTube. We should regularly check the links, the resources, the modules, whether they are still active or not, because there might be problems, technical problems. Okay, if the link disappeared, you must create a new one. So online content can move or change, which can also lead to disengagement and confusion. You can model the process of navigating to websites that are not embedded in the course and demonstrate how to appropriately manage keeping track of navigation when jumping from site to site. And the last principle is that creating and maintaining a strong presence. Students want to see or feel that you are there for them. So here, regular communication is important. This communication might start with an email a week or two prior to the start of the class. You can send an email. Even in this email may include a video introduction to course or course orientation. And you can send subsequent emails, including regular course updates and announcements. And also, sometimes even you open a discussion in a forum, but you leave it. If you don't comment in that forum, they cannot feel your presence. So you should provide prompts and meaningful feedback and to participate in online discussion forums. And here are some tips for creating a strong presence. You can send a message to all students by video if possible to welcome them to online learning and reassure them. You can use video chat rather than basic instant message when interacting with students because we're all having this problem. We have a lot of WhatsApp groups. Okay. Sometimes I see hundreds of messages there. Do you think I'm reading all of them? No one can read it. So using video chat will be effective and they will feel your presence strongly. Get the students talking by beginning discussions in the discussion board, then contributing rapid, regular, and open responses to questions, and also using non-verbal communication, such as emojis, or through webs, you can use your mimes and gestures as well, and complete your profile with professional and personal traits because your students want to know about you. And I will conclude my presentation with this quotation. If you want something you have never had, you must be willing to do something you have never done. And Aydan Hocam, with your permission, tomorrow is the 23rd of April. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to our great leader, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, and his fellows. And I would like to thank you all for inviting me such a great event. And I would also like to thank the participants for joining our sessions. Thank you, Hocam.
Thank you very much, Mehmet Hocam. Yes, as you can see from my wallpaper as well, tomorrow is the 23rd of April, the National Sovereignty and Children's Day. And we are so proud to celebrate such a great Bayram tomorrow. And of course, we are always grateful to our one and only leader, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. Mehmet Hocam, it was a great presentation. Thank you very much. My dear colleagues, if you have any questions or any comments, you can either raise your hand or write the question. If you do not have an access to a microphone, you can write your question in the chat box. I will read that from the yes, people are thanking you, Mehmet Hocam, as you can see from the chat box if it's open. It's a, yes, amazing presentation. Mehmet Hocam, while we are waiting, can I ask you something? I would like to learn your personal opinion on this. Now, we know that online learning or teaching and technology altogether are here to stay. Yes, yeah. Of course, we started it because of this pandemic, but that was only maybe a kind of a reason to bring that to our lives faster than expected. Otherwise, in our modern world, we cannot avoid this. This is going to be our life. Do you think that students, regardless of their age, have less tolerance and productivity, if you excuse the term, when they are engaged in online learning? So comparing it to the face-to-face, are they less tolerant and less productive? What is your opinion?
Exactly, you're right, Hocam, because we all experience this online teaching, and generally, maybe it is because of our techniques that we used. We couldn't make them engaged in the activities. So we use just lecturing mode, which is very boring, you know. And they, after some time, let's say within 10 or 20 minutes, they lost their interests. And
Yeah.
of course, as you mentioned, that they couldn't be productive. But when we started this project, I realized that there are many tools that our students can be productive during teaching. And before the pandemic, even in technology courses or öğretim teknolojileri ve materyal courses, we used to talk about this. In the future, that we won't have campuses. Maybe the teaching, especially university teaching, will be distance and online teaching. And even before the pandemic, we started in our university, we have distance MA program. Değil mi Filiz Hocam? And it is very successful.
Yeah.
And we have students from Germany and
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, all around the world. And there, you know, there is a university, I couldn't remember, in the United Kingdom. It is just open university. All the students, about 30,000, sorry, students are online students. So we cannot, you know, how can I say, even YÖK decided that our courses, 40% of our courses will be online, even now and in the future.
Yeah. Well, of course, I mean, I'm not saying that face-to-face education is much more preferable. Well, in fact, inside, I believe in that. Sorry. But what I'm saying is, maybe it's because of, as you have mentioned, maybe it's because of the techniques that teachers or instructors have employed. Students lost their interest, lost their motivation. They became less productive, and they kept complaining about not being able to experience university education atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is a kind of I don't know, culture. You know, it's unlike having the screen in front of you, being a part of a university campus.
They're right. They're absolutely right.
Yeah. And some people say, if I pay this amount of money, I'm not going to do it on the screen. Especially when you mentioned the Open University in the UK, it's not as cheap. It's very expensive. And, you know, students say, well, if I'm paying this amount of money, I might as well go to Britain and study there.
Exactly, you're right, Hocam. And exactly, the students are right. They need to feel the university atmosphere. They want it. And of course, online teaching is somehow, not somehow, but mostly related to learner autonomy. Yes. And as you said, it is a cultural issue.
Yes.
Unfortunately, in our culture, we are still teacher dependent and teacher centered. We have teacher centered education, and even our students still teacher dependent. Yeah. They want to see and have face-to-face education. Even we are having this problem. I sometimes ask a question about an approach or a method in my young learners class, and my students just look at me because they took that course online, unfortunately. Even some of them took that course from me. They say they don't know because they didn't listen to that course.
But I do understand his point, what he was trying to say. That was very clear. He was saying, hey, I'm a young person. I want to be with young people in an environment where there is a kind of university culture. I breathe that air, I act silly. Maybe I sit on the grass and sing songs, play the guitar, if it's a good university, of course. That is an experience that young people should go through.
And I personally experienced it, hocam.
Yeah.
My son,
yeah, I know.
won the university, Akdeniz University, and he wanted to play the guitar at the seaside, but he couldn't. That was the case. But he's now happy.
Yeah, I know. So what I believe is good about online, there are so many advantages of online learning and teaching, because I believe it gives a kind of equality and equity to people. If they have the same tools, same devices, and same services, which may be another discussion topic, but at least they can, I don't know, attend different classes, learn from different people. I don't know. It's a wonderful opportunity for people. But of course, we need to remember that education is not only transferring knowledge. It is the whole package. So
Exactly.
So good luck, everyone. We all need that.
Even we can embed these tools now in all the classes. We have smart boards and internet connection.
Yes.
As teachers, we can embed these web tools in our face-to-face teaching.
Oh yeah, sure. And project-based teaching, for example, can employ lots of technological devices and tools, and definitely internet is, oh my God, is the one and only source nowadays for everything. Is that good? I don't know.
Nowadays, we cannot discuss a topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I say something and my friends say another thing on the same topic, just within seconds, we Google it and find the answer.
Yes.
In the past, we used to discuss, on that specific topic for about maybe 30 minutes. That is why the conversations are now becoming shorter. The discussions are becoming shorter.
Definitely. It's an amazing tool to help us. But of course, we need to have a high awareness that not everything on internet is correct, is true, is valid.
We should be critical about it as well.
Yes. Well, no matter what you use, you need to use your brain, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I keep talking, but I cannot see any incoming questions. Şebnem Hocam says, Can Mehmet Hocam, invite all of us to Gaziantep.
You're all welcome, Hocam. Değil mi Filiz Hocam? Maybe we can have a face-to-face conference here. You will be our, guest speaker, honorable speaker.
Mehmet Hocam, you know what we can do? We can have the next INGED conference at Gaziantep University. Why don't you think about that?
Hocam bölüm başkanım burada.
Why not hocam? It will be honor for us.
Oh my God, it will be great.
Why not hocam? It will be great honor for us.
Oh my God, it's a great idea. I know, Esma Hocam. See, everyone is so happy about that. because we, as you know, we only have our conferences in odd years. So our conference is going to be in 2023. So we still have time. We can talk about this. We can plan it. It will be great to be with you again. We have lots of wonderful people in Gaziantep. Gaziantep as a city is a wonderful city to see. And I bet we will have a lot of, we will create some extra time to visit those places. Yeah. So that will be, yes, the quiz. I know, Hocam, are you telling me?
And idea.
Ali Hocam, for about 3 days of staying here, we guarantee 2 kilos of fat.
Yeah. In fact, when we were coming back from Gaziantep after the conference, the plane seat belts didn't fit. We had to ask for an extension. Yeah.
Aydan Hocam, we organized ITOEFL conference in 2015, and still we are getting positive feedbacks from all the colleagues and friends that made us very happy. Why not? From here, we will be inviting all of you, first of all, you, of course, all friends and colleagues to Gaziantep, and it will be a great honor for us to host here at our campus and in our city.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That will be great. We'll be in touch, dear Hocam. We will be in touch. If I cannot, if you don't want to ask any questions or make any comments, I may close the session and you can go and rest after a very tiring week, I know. Welcoming cocktail with guests, yeah, of course. We will arrange something. Last year, we had this conference with Bolu Abantizet Baysal University. Unfortunately, because of the situation, we didn't want to have a face-to-face conference, so we missed that chance. It was an online conference. Of course, my colleagues did a great job, but still, I mean, see, even with a conference, face-to-face conferences are so much fun. See, we can always skip the sessions and have fun. But when it's an online session, there's no fun in skipping the session. Yes. Mehmet Hocam, thank you very much again. It was really great. Yes, it was really great to have you here with us. Thank you very much for this very informative talk. And hope we'll be in touch to organize something, our international conference in Gaziantep. And Filiz Hocam, thank you very much for your very generous offer and invitation. And I have taken it seriously, Filiz Hocam. Sorry, but I have taken it seriously.
No, we will keep in touch, Hocam.
Okay,
we miss
great.
you a lot.
Thank you very much, Hocam. That's very kind. Thank you.
Every time, anytime.
Thank you. My dear colleagues, thank you very much for being with us. Next week, we are not going to have a session because it's just before Ramadan Ramadan feast. So please follow us on our social platforms so that you will follow when we have sessions, when we don't. Okay. And let's celebrate our wonderful national holiday tomorrow with joy and happiness and with pride, of course. Thank you very much and have a very good night. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.